Well, good morning, everybody. This is Wednesday morning, our class time, and I hope you all had a good week so far. I just want to see if everything is working. I'm working from a different computer, so I hope that everything will be fine. Well, in today's session, we're going to look at the various influences that make up the way of thinking of the Koreans. I hope you had a chance to watch the other videos, and I'm really looking forward to see you all next week or the week after that. I realized that having this kind of classes on the net is not ideal because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So please also write down your questions somewhere and let's discuss it as soon as possible. Right, I'm going to share the screen with you, and I will also upload this to your LMS, and you can just look at it in time. Right, today's lecture is about Koreanness and looking at the world through Korean eyes. Just as an introduction, yeah, I've got a few links there as well that I will put on the LMS. Please just go through that. They are really interesting to watch, and it will just expand your knowledge of this. Right. There's one principle when we look at another culture, and that principle is that we look at the world from where we stand, from our beliefs and our values and our perception. If I say to you, what is this? I'm pretty sure all of you will tell me, well, this is a mountain or a range of mountains. Of course, it's the Alps in Switzerland. But if I ask you this, then you might say, well, it seems like a hill or a series of small hills somewhere. In Korean eyes, if you come here, Koreans will tell you, well, this is a mountain. Well, they got much bigger mountains than this, but anything hilly, they will call them a mountain. The same as this. If I ask you, what is this? Of course, you all will tell me, this is a hospital. But if I ask you, what is this? Most of you, at least from where I am, I will tell you, well, this is the doctor's rooms or a doctor's clinic where you go when you're sick. So when I'm sick, I'm going to the doctor. Not in Korean perception. The doctor's rooms, that's the hospital as well. So anywhere where you get treated, that is seen as a hospital. Of course, they make some differentiation, but in normal conversation, they would just tell you, well, I'm going to the hospital today. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to see the doctor. Why? I've got a cold. In my perception, you never go to the hospital because you've got a cold. You go to the doctor's rooms or the doctor's clinic for that. So it's all about our own perspective that we define things. One of the things that intrigued me when I came to Korea was what makes Korean society tick. We all have a philosophy or a religion or a set of thinking rules, a system whereby we look at the world. If we don't realize these systems, it can be very confusing. And if you want to understand Koreanness or Korean thinking, how they look at the world, you have to understand what is lying beneath the surface. We talk about surface culture and we talk about deep surface, even middle surface culture, or deep culture and middle culture. If you talk about a deep culture, that's that kind of culture that that gives you your thinking patterns. it helps you to define the world from that, from your perspective, from your beliefs, um, that influences your values. So today I'd like to just look at four systems that shape Korean thinking and values. So this session will examine the philosophical and ethical religious systems that have provided the values and the rituals that have shaped Korean culture. Once you understand this, it is easier to understand what people are saying. It's easier to understand the way they're reasoning. Now, in Korea, there are four major systems that have shaped Korean society. I'm not going to spend too much time on the history of that. I'm pretty sure you can read it up. I will give you some reading materials and also some other videos that you can watch. There are four systems that shape Korean thinking, how they think about the world, how they think about leisure, how they think about the value of people, and why they do things the way they do. It's exactly the same in your country. You have maybe different systems that shape your values about death, about life, about marriage, about the role of the family, and so much more. So let's dig into this and see where we get. Right, the first, yeah. So this is just a point to ponder, and maybe you can think about it. In your country, what systems have shaped your country and society? And how did it shape your country? How do you think it is similar or different to your country, what is happening in Korea? Or we say shapes the Korean system. Um, in my own system, I come from South Africa, and something that shaped our system is the religion, and not African religion, but European religion, especially Calvinistic religion. So when we look at in my country, the years of apartheid, that was sanctioned by religion, and of course many other things. So understanding your own country, you have to go back. What is supporting the thinking pattern? Why do people think like they do? Okay, the first one that I would like to um, just explore a little bit is what we call Taoism. It's spelled with a T, but you pronounce it Taoism. And Taoism is not very big in Korea today. You probably won't see too many Taoist temples. You go to Taiwan and other countries, you'll see lots of Taoism temples, but in Korea, not so much yet. It has influenced the country tremendously. Taoism is the least known of the world's major religions since it never moved substantially outside the East Asian sphere. So Taoism is still practiced in Hong Kong, Taiwan, um, but not really, not in huge numbers here. Okay, it is heavily infused these days with superstition, fortune telling, and was commonly so thoroughly incorporated into Buddhism. So Buddhism has assimilated much of what is going on in Taoism. So I wanted to just give you an idea of the influence of Taoism. So Taoism actually means the way, the path, the road. Very simple. It's really simplified. In Taoism, also they will talk about the ideal path. Um, and another thing about Taoism is that nature is very important. They say we are one with nature. The moment that we are out of sync with nature, that's when problems start. If you look at traditional medicine practiced in Korea and maybe also in many of the other Asian countries, the key, the life force is everything. The key comes from nature. It is part of of life in nature, everything has the key in it. But Taoism says we must learn from nature. Nature is our teacher. To do that, we have to unlearn old things, old ways. So Taoism is all about unlearning toxic ways that we look at the world and learning to get into harmony with the world. So what Taoism also says is that we should stop struggling against nature. We should not conquer nature, but we have to tread quietly in the flow of nature. So instead of dominating nature, we live by the principle of Hui, to do nothing. But this nothing is not what most of us think about now. Um, so they say we are part of nature. Let's flow with it. We are an indispensable part of nature. So let's flow with it. I will say a little bit more about that later. So if you look at the Korean flag is possibly one of the oldest, or contains one of the oldest Taoist symbols. And do you get it here? It's a very simple flag, yin and yang. That is the basis of this flag. So they call the flag a Tegigi. And yeah, let me just explain a little bit of that. There's a story about it. I'm not going to go over that. The Tegigi, the Korean flag, features the yin and the yang symbol. And then they have four bars on the outside. Those bars on the outside, the sawe, each have a specific meaning. So gum bars symbolize air, south and summer. The other one, the gum bars, water, west, autumn. Sun bars, earth, north, winter, and then E bars, fire, east, spring. We'll talk about that maybe more. Okay, what they say is these symbols throughout Asia, especially Northeast Asia, including Korea, regarded as the universe's basic principles that come into sync with nature. Um, it also represents the perpetual cycle of nature. It's a change, it's a development. Nature moves all the time. And if you're not in sync with nature, you are resisting nature and you're resisting yourself. That's part of the things. Okay, let's just look a bit at the Taoism, the symbol of the flag. Getting back to the flag, um, it's divided by a S. The yin and yang is divided by the S. When you look at it, you can say, well, the one is red, the other one is blue, and it must be opposing symbols. The Koreans say, no, no. Yin and yang is a perfect unity of apparent opposites within the single unified circular form. The unity is the main point, not the opposition or the difference. In Western mind, again, I look at things from a Western mind, and I have to look at it, I have to get my mind and to look at it through a different glass, through a different lens. So just to give you this really interesting bit. When I look at an empty circle, yeah, I can just draw one here. Okay, let's draw something. If I, it's my circle, okay. If I ask you the question, what is in that circle? I can maybe take quite a few answers. If I look at this circle from my perspective, and you ask me what is the inside of the circle, I would say nothing. It's emptiness. In my mind, this emptiness is negative. An empty well, an empty river, empty glass. That's a negative. In the Taoist mind, this is not negative. I once had I did a lecture on a certain philosophical stance, and I used this to describe the emptiness and the negativity of the emptiness. And then there was a Taoist scholar who came to me and said, "No, no, no, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. For the for the for the Taoist, this is potential. This has the potential to be filled. You can fill it with anything. You can draw in. You can fill it with anything you want, and so that is potential. Um, you can fill that with whatever is needed, and it's also a second thing. It's not only potential, but it's creativity. So this is the idea of how we look at things probably differently. Okay, so I want to move to the next one here. So I can just get out of the slide. Good. Um, so yeah, this is just part of Taoism and how people look at things. Okay, let me just get out of this one. Okay. Right. The next one. Right. So it is like, let me just try and get this one up here. Good. I think, okay, erase this one. Yeah. Right. So what I say is the yin and yang. The yin is the female energy. The yang presents the male energy. The yin represents passivity, darkness, negativeness, softness, coldness, dampness. In my mind, negative. But the yang, on the other hand, in my mind again, a Western mind, I would say all these states are positive, but like male energy, action, like positiveness, hardness, warmness, dryness. Those are mostly very positive. But I would say no, no, no. Both are positive. Both are needed to make electricity, and that is why it's very important for them to acknowledge the also the other aspect of Taoism, and we will look at that in more detail, is that negative doesn't mean bad, that both forces are equal. But I also say that life is filled with peace or truth. Um, Everything is infused with a living spirit. Therefore, I have a living spirit. I have to be in sync with my spirit, but also all around me, I have to be in sync. People have to be in sync with a vital energy. And that fills the mountain, the rocks, the trees. Um, so you have to become one with it. From Taoism, you get Zen Buddhism and many other things. Just to give you an idea, just to make it practical, because it sounds so philosophical and dry. When you come to Korea, you have to maybe bring your walking shoes with you because Koreans are crazy about walking in the mountains and on mountain heights. But again, when I came to Korea, it was interesting that people dress the part. Um, they go to the mountains, snow or good weather or rain or whatever the weather is. And they say, well, we are not going to conquer the mountain. We are not going to dominate the mountain. The mountains are inviting us, and we take that invitation and we go into the mountain. So this is the effect of peace. Here as well, when you go to a hospital, um, especially a traditional hospital or one of the uh, hospitals practicing traditional medicine, they will also look at your key. And if your key is in sync, they will be filled. Okay, so key is that living in visual truth that includes everything, and they have to live in harmony. Also in geomancy, um, they try to build the body also in line with the truth, in line with the forces, um, even grave, so they make sure that everything is in line. The second is very interesting, and actually um, we can spend much time with it. But I just want to go over the whole thing of Confucianism. If you want to understand Koreanism, you have to understand the Taoism a little bit to understand Confucianism. Now, in Korea, you have something like the Confucian thinking here. Although people might say that we are not religious, we don't really go to Taoist temples or Confucian temples or Confucian religious sites, but the Confucian thinking in Korea is extremely strong. Maybe of all the things that systems that have influenced the value system, the Confucian thinking has done the most. So, Kung Fu, his name was Latinized to Confucius by the early Jesuit scholars, was until Mao Zedong the only Chinese whose name most Americans recognized. So during his lifetime, Confucius, many have fantasized, engaged in ongoing public arguments and so on, but actually he wasn't that revered during his lifetime. But he laid down the foundation of the way that people think in Korea. So his teachings were full of rules, rituals, ceremonies, ancestor veneration, filial piety, and advice on the proper relationship between people of unequal rank and position. He abhorred corruption in government. He says the government is, is your father. The king is your father, and the government is there to serve you and you to serve the government. So to Confucius, the ideal man is a gentleman scholar, the literati, the one who takes time to think. So just to bring it back to what we do here, the following. He devised 5 human relationships and 10 righteousness. For every relationship, there are some value, some righteousness that goes along. I will explain. So just to go through this. The first relationship is between ruler and subject. You must remember that relationships in this sense are vertical, not horizontal. There's only one horizontal relationship, vertical. So it's top down and down to the top. Mostly from the top down. So there's this relationship between the ruler and the subject, the king and the subject, and the subject looks up to the king. The king looks down to the subject, but not down in the sense of humiliating, but down in the sense of caring. It was the duty of the king to be the father of the nation, and it was his responsibility to care for the nation. The second one is father-son. Usually the oldest son is first in line. So the father, the Abaji, has the most responsibility and the most authority, and that goes down to his son. And then all the other siblings, you'll see in Korea that it's very ranking. Um, so the siblings, there's also the way that they address one another is different. You show your status by honorifics and how you address people. And then the other one is husband and wife, also top down. The husband, the wife must know her place. She must be submissive to the husband. And here it is not about bad treating, but it's about role. The husband is the head of the house. The wife is the creator of the house. And then friend, friend. Friend, friend is the only one that has a horizontal um, line to it. So there are the five, or the principles of Confucianism. Um, I'm not going to look at it now. You can maybe just read it, but I want to explain it later on. So the teaching of Confucianism is this: everyone has his or her place in society. Again, I think last time I showed you um, Snow, that movie, right? Snowpiercer. And in Confucian thinking, in Korean thinking, it's busy changing a bit, it's been challenged, but it's still in place. And this is the way Koreans do their things. Everyone must know your place. If you watch uh, the some of the dramas, um, very interesting. Uh, DA or DA, the one about the army life in Korea on Netflix. Unbelievable how that little world is playing himself out in the rest of society. If you watch dramas where you see office culture, it's very hierarchical. So it is the boss. And then everybody, the new one is the one who makes coffee and go run errands and that kind of thing. You know your place in society. The second one, each person should accept his place in society to function well. And I've seen this play out maybe every day. Um, there are five types of relationships. That is what we just spoke about. And one must accept that. Whether they are superior or inferior, that is your role in life. You don't do anything about that. Okay. So just to explain the relationship again, the ruler and the subject. The thing is, in the ruler, if the ruler is not ruling well, if he's not caring for his subject, he forfeits his duty as ruler and his role as ruler. And you see all these wars in Korea, the civil wars between kings and so on, is about this. The same with father and son. The father, um, he's the one who uh, has to transfer not only his authority, but his values, his way of thinking to the son. If the father dies, the son, the oldest son, becomes the head of the household, not the wife. That is an old Joseon dynasty. These days, things are different. But the husband and the wife have a different role. Now, we will talk about the role of the wife later on. But women in Korea until fairly recently had very little, very few rights. Um, elder brother and younger brother, yeah, and then the friend. Okay, this is just um, from the bottom up. The son must revere the father. Another thing that is interesting in Korea, um, if I'm an if I'm a son, um, I have to honor my father. And the reason for that is I owe my life to my father. My father has given me my life, and that's a debt that I cannot repay ever. So that is where filial piety comes in. And yeah, so the son must honor the father, understand the other son, the wife, the husband, and friend. So, okay, maybe we can talk a little bit about the family. Um, the Korean way of seeing the family um, is maybe not unique, but it is very important. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time just on the family. Um, okay, we'll look at the family and the government. Um, so in the family, there's a very ideal um, relationship. The father, the mother, they have their place, the kids have their place, and you don't mix that. Once you start mixing that, you get um, a dysfunctional family. So this goes far beyond just um, the places that they have in their family, but it goes far beyond even later when uh, the kids have to care for the family. The government as well, we spoke about the government a little bit, and the government in Korea has what a history. We will talk about that as well. But there were these successes of um, very bad um, uh, dynasties, okay, the dynasties, and then later on, when Korea became a republic, they had a few dictators, and it was sort of easy for one dictator uh, uh, to do the coup d'état to the other one. Um, so when they eventually had the first democratic government, the people hold their governors to their promises. They will go very easily and out them. I've seen that with President Lee, the woman president, and it was unbelievable that 1 million people could gather for a protest because they held the government accountable to what they promised. Again, you see the play out of the confusion thinking in this. We talk about education. This is also very interesting in education. I don't know how it is in your country, but education in Korea is somewhat unique. Um, Education here is most important. It is much more important than anything else. Korea is first in so many ways in education. One of the things is Korea is, in terms of PhD, I think the country with the most PhD per 100,000 people. Um, Kids go to school early in the morning, they go home 3 o'clock or 3 o'clock to finish. They go to Hagwon Private Academy. There they stay until whatever time in the evening, and it's a cycle going on and on and on. This supposed in Confucianism, education is one of the most important things. The professor is regarded as very high in society. They they regard education as very, very important and very high. They pay millions just to get people educated. So, and then of course the roles of men and women. Again, it is different roles. It is not just a theme of male domination, but it's different roles that play itself out there. So just to say a bit more about this, while few question the positive effects in Korea of Confucianism with respect to elders and education, many criticize the effect Confucianism has on the lives of Korean women. In the Shilla dynasty, so remember last time we talked about the Shilla dynasty, Goryeo dynasty, and then also the Joseon dynasty. In the Shilla period, that is about 658 to 935, so it's a very, very long time ago. Women enjoyed nearly equal legal status with men. In comes the Goryeo dynasty. Goryeo dynasty maybe a bit less, and then in the peak of the final dynasty, the Joseon dynasty, Confucianism dictated inequality for women. Boys and girls were permanently separated after the age of 5. And sons of the high or Yangban class, remember last time we spoke of the Yangban class, received an education in Confucianist classics and later were eligible to compete for the government examination. Girls remained with their mothers, learning housecraft until they were married. They were, no, when they get married, they were controlled by mother-in-law. Um, so it's cycle never breaks. Today it's changing. There's a lot of feminist movements. There's this equality ministry. So things are getting better deep down. This is like a boiling lava. It just waits to go out. So a woman could not commit seven evils. So this is from the Joseon dynasty. They call it a Chulgakap. So she's in the house. She obeys her mother-in-law, who could be absolutely ruthless with her. But there are seven rules that could make life very difficult for her. The first one is disobeying her in-laws. We'll even see today that this deep rule is still sitting. That a woman who married her husband, um, her first loyalty is with her mother-in-law, and then the husband. She must first revere the mother-in-law. Also interesting, if a woman gets pregnant, it's customary to tell her mother-in-law first before her husband. So yeah. The second one, the second evil pertaining to women was that if they don't bear a son, especially in the different dynasties, they had to bear a son, a daughter didn't stand for much. The third one is committing adultery. If she commits adultery, she's out. The fourth one is she was jealous. These are also reasons how a man could divorce his wife. The wife in the Joseon dynasty had no chance of divorcing her husband. No, or very, very little chance. But here, the husband has the upper hand. If she's too jealous, he can divorce her. If she carries a disease, for instance, in some families, there's heart disease, hereditary disease, and if she carries that and it becomes a problem in the relationship or in the family, that is an evil. If she talks too much, you could just let go of her, you could divorce her or larceny. Okay, the husband or parents-in-law of a transgressor has a right to turn her out. She was moreover forbidden to return to her own parents' home. So no matter what the husband did, however, women did not divorce them. So during the Yi dynasty, uh, uh, yeah, that was a bad time for women. My goodness. Um, the Yi dynasty is, of course, the Joseon dynasty. Women were not supposed to be seen by non-family members. They remained confined at home. And in the evening, a bell would ring, warning men to get up to speak, and then women could go out briefly. Whenever they went out, they had to veil themselves. That was until very late. That was until the end of the 19th century, probably even in the first part of the 20th century. So yeah, that's true. So while Korean women today are not in prison, their lives are quite restricted. Again, in that time, if she wants to divorce, if she wants to get away from an abusive relationship, she was on her own. She didn't go back to her own family. There was nowhere to go. Most had a very miserable life then. Okay. Well, Korean women today are not in prison. Their lives are relatively restricted. And this is one aspect of living in Korea that surprises expatriates the most. The man and woman may study in the same university. They get hired by the same company, but the man will probably get a higher job than she in the same place. Okay, I don't want to go too much about this. I wanted to maybe progress a little bit. Just something about education, more about that. Confucianism, as I said, stressed on the importance of education, and it has influenced, I think, all Asian countries. Even the second or third generation Asians in Western countries tend to perform better than their non-Asian counterparts. The value of education is certainly deeply impressed upon Koreans. Education is seen as the only path to success. And yeah, so it's very important on this side. Okay, let me just go back a little bit, or go front. Yeah, they are the seven evils committed by women. Divorce again, um, husbands could divorce them very easily. Let's quickly talk about the other two things. Let's talk about Buddhism. Remember, we are busy with what philosophies, what way of thinking um, shaped Korean society. And the first one we saw was Taoism, the second one Confucianism. So I just want to go a little bit further and just touch on Buddhism and Christianity. You can think about these questions. How important is religion in your country? How does religion shape your country? And if you come to Korea, you will most certainly get in touch with or encounter religion. Very important. So just a bit about Buddhism in Korea. Um, yeah, it was introduced from China and in the Goguryeo time. It was very prominent during the unified Silla time. Many temples were built. It flourished during the Goryeo dynasty. And it was interesting, this Tipitaka, where a Buddhist monk printed out these wooden printed plates. It is still to be seen. You can still go and see that. But just imagine, this is a huge task. The Yi dynasty, or yeah, it's the longest dynasty. When they came into power in 1392, the Buddhists were blamed for social corruption. What they said is Buddhist monks are lazy, and they started to um, break off and break down all these Buddhist temples, well, not all the Buddhist temples, but um, the monks had to go back to the villages to earn their living. And it was a very dark time for them. So yeah, that was very interesting. During the Japanese annexation, Buddhists came visibility. So they were sort of um, out of uh, out of society. Um, Although during that time, I mean, the Joseon dynasty was for so many years, 500 years, they did flourish. Um, but of course, the dynasty was much more in favor of Confucianism. But Buddhism really shaped the country as well. So recently, there's about 7, 8 million followers. There's many schools of Buddhism, such as this one that is the Wonder Buddhism. I met this woman a few weeks ago. She is a Korean. She works in America and very enthusiastic. And she's one of a huge number of one Buddhist that is busy shaping beliefs and the way people look at things. And of course, the second one, so Buddhism on the one hand, the second one that we have to take note of it is shamanism. Shamanism. Shamanism is also interesting. I want to do just one lecture on this. But just to give you an idea about shamanism, now advocates of Buddhism, Confucianism, and Christianity in Korea made some very strong attempts to eradicate shamanism, but not succeeded. Besides serving a religious function in the lives of Koreans, shamanism is very deeply ingrained even before the times of Confucianism, Buddhism, and other religions. It's part of the core thinking religion of how Koreans see things. And okay. What I first must say is in the ranking of people, as we said last time, shamanism is very lowly ranked, although even they are so lowly ranked with all the butchers and the very low class people. They are also revered. So every king's house had its own shaman, and they would say these people, and the king would find some wisdom, some advice and counseling from them. And also that they were, even today, shamans are regarded as sort of a link between this world and the other world, the invisible world. Besides serving this religious function, they also provide entertainment, not to mention psychological and social benefits. So entrenched is the believing spirit that aspects of shamanism have been incorporated into other religions. Observe, for example, that most Buddhist houses in Korea have a spirit house, a little place in the house or room in the house with some symbols, some shamanic symbols. Christian rituals, such as praying for long periods, were perhaps more readily accepted by Koreans because of the similarity of these acts to shaman tradition. Regardless, the same spirit of sharing aspects of other religions have also been incorporated in shamanism. Shamanism is exporting ideas and rituals, but also importing them. Some shamanistic spirits took on the image of a Buddha when Buddhism spread across Korea. And when Confucianism stressed the need for women to bear sons, it suddenly became a general knowledge that the mountain spirit had the ability to produce sons. So perhaps shamanism exists today in Korea because of its ability to coexist with other religions. Shamanistic ceremonies are held when international companies open new stores or businesses. You'll see that so many times that when there's a new business opening, they have this ritual. There's a pig's head in front of it, or a fish, a dried fish somewhere. Yeah, according to shamanism, spirits exist in every part of nature. Every river, every mountain, every animal, every house has a spirit. Everyone who dies has one, and that may or may not move to the other world. And so if there's a problem, they help this person transfer. If a person has misfortune, sickness, natural disaster, they go to the shamanist and they try to get help from them. The woman shamanist, this type of woman, are called mudang. She has a special ability to communicate with the spirit, to the go-between between the spirit world and this world. Mudangs have played a very important role in Korean history, and as I said, Mudangs were employed by the kings and royal households. Mudangs are thought to be called by the spirit to serve that function. They don't just decide, I want to be a mudang. They had to be called. With a special ability, one would have imagined that a mudang was revered. There's this strange interaction. A friend of mine, his sister-in-law is a mudang, and I met her, and later on, I spoke to him about it, and he said to me, well, they're not very proud of the fact that she is a Mudang. I asked him why, and he said to me, well, it's a bit of a shame not for the family to recognize this. It's sort of the brother in the prison kind of thing. You don't talk about it. You don't want to advertise that. It's not very good for families. It's very contradictory relationship. So what they also do, they will do a kut. Now, this is interesting. This woman, she is probably the most revered Buddha in Korea. She's very well known. And she's sort of the queen of the whole lot. So, yeah. That's interesting. In most towns or even cities, at the entrance of the city, you see these totem poles. All of that has to do with shamanism. It has to do with ancient religion, the ancient religion of Korea. Um, so yeah, we can talk about that a little bit more later. Right. Shamanism. So I told you that there were these attempts to eradicate it by Buddhism. Even today, there's a lot of Christianity, especially against shamanism. But yet, when they do the rituals um, celebrating or commemorating the death of a person, they will probably have some kind of shamanist um, ritual for that. Right? Yeah, mudangs. I told you about the mudangs. They go from town to town, and they talk to people, the common people, and they do the rituals. You'll see that in many of the Korean dramas and movies, very well played out. And yeah, remember that they go between uh, the, the ones that are very successful earn a lot of money, the others that are faking, they're called out very soon. Okay. The ceremony is a kut. They make spiritual contact. What they say is then that the spirit of the departed person comes in them, they become that person, they give messages to the living, and so on. So, yeah. Um, Kosas, yeah, the Kosas is a ceremony when you open a new cafe, a new business, so they will have a big head. It's a really a big head with lots of fruit, and they give money to the spirits are asked to give a blessing to new endeavor, and the dancers. It depends on how rich this person is, what he can afford. It costs a lot of money. Right. Also, part of the whole thing is fortune telling. So people will go to a fortune teller, to sometimes mutang, and they usually say to tell the future, to before the children get married. Is that the right person? A new baby's name, burial site, where to bury grandpa, and business decisions. So they are definitely, you'll see them in your field. The last one, I just want to talk a little bit about Christianity. Christianity has grown incredibly. Korean Christianity is not that old. When it comes to Korea, you'll see in the cities, everywhere, all cities. At night, these crosses are all over the town. It is just laid out with these crosses. Um, you get very small family churches, and they are sort of front um, face, uh, maybe in a shop or shopping center, and then the very rich and the very big churches. The biggest church in the world, with the largest congregation in the world, is in Seoul. They have about 800,000 members just in the one church. So they make it very big. Um, Christian thinking, especially for the last 100 years, have shaped many of the ethical issues, the way they think about morality, the way they think about equality, um, the way they think about um, doing the right thing in parliament. So yeah, this is very interesting. Its first contact with Christianity was actually the Roman Catholic. Interesting enough that the Roman Catholic Church in Korea were grown not by priests but by laypersons. Later on, the priests came here and they ordained people and so on. So that is about yeah, that's in 1777. That was quite on there. And then the Protestants came in 1884 with Gerard Appenzeller. And the Appenzellers were the first ones to plant the Protestant church, Appenzellers, and also some of the other missionaries from America. And there's a whole way of thinking that changed. They changed the way that education, medicine, they opened the biggest hospital, schools for women, and a lot of other things that they did. So Horace Allen, Henry Appenzeller, and those were the pioneers. Um, it's interesting how the role the church played, especially in the last 60, 70 years for liberation in Korea. But yeah, so this is the Yonggi-cho, um, Joido, two gospel church. Yonggi-cho was a pastor. He used to teach. But this place takes about 20,000 people and they fill it about 3 to 4 times a day. It's quite experienced, right? Moral issues, they protest. And for instance, this was LGBT protest. They make a lot of noise. So 39% of Koreans were Christians in 2010. I think it's a bit more now, maybe 30, just over 30%, although there is a decline. Interesting enough that the Roman Catholic Church is growing far better than Protestant churches. There are many reasons for that. I used to lecture at the Roman Catholic University, and it was interesting to see all the first generation Christians coming there. Okay, so that was the Pope when he visited Korea, and this person here was one of my colleagues at the Catholic University. He accompanied the Pope. Right. Of course, with Christianity came a lot of pseudo-religion, the pseudo-Christian groups. This is the Moonies, it's known as the Moody Unification Church. They have these large-scale weddings where the church chooses your partner. You only meet this partner a day or two before your wedding, and they marry thousands of people per session. They've got their own university. They got their headquarters is called the New Jerusalem. I've seen it. It is unbelievably big. They've got a stadium. This is the stadium at the headquarters where they have their mass uh, ceremonies and things taking place there. Very interesting. Okay, I'm done for today, and I will give you some information on the LMS. We'll try to do it today, some readers, but I hope that you understand this whole thing about what makes people think and act the way they do. You will encounter many of the religions here. You will encounter a lot of confusing thinking. If you want to do, if you want to be successful in dealing with Korea and dealing with Koreans, I think this is maybe the most important part of your Korean learning. Believe me, if you miss this kind of philosophical thinking and reasoning, that you probably will not be successful in your dealing with Koreans. You might lose out. You'll also understand education. You'll also understand the way that people not only look at the world, but experience the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, from my side, I wish you a wonderful week. I will find out, maybe we will be in class next week, or there will be some of you here. I will find out from the department how we're going to do. But at least the first week in October, we will see face to face. And I'm really looking forward to meet all of you and hear your stories. In these sessions now, I'm talking way too much. That is only because we don't have this interaction. So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much and goodbye. Have a great day.